All right. We got to love this. This is on Facebook Live only. This is Three Moms and a Dad, and thank you for joining us. And this is where we get together and to sort of share the whole process of being a parent and all the sort of things that you go through, moms and a dad. And, it could be anything from when is it too old to have diapers to what's going on with kids' education and all sorts of different things. And I'm hosting it this week because something happened in the news that I think affects everybody with kids going to school, because there's a brand new law that was signed by Governor Newsom. Love him or hate him, this is going to happen in a couple of years. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, and then we'll get right into the hot topic, which is pushing school times back for all schools in California. So on my right, we've got Cheyenne. Cheyenne, tell everybody about yourself just a little bit, and also your family makeup.
Okay. My name's Cheyenne. I'm the executive assistant to the president, so I do a lot of stuff in this building. I have 3 daughters that are 19, 16, and 8.
Wow. And Ashley?
Hello, my name is Ashley. I have 6 children. The oldest is 13, and the youngest is 3.
We always need to pause for that.
Oh my God.
Yep, internalize that. Okay, keep going. And
Respect.
And
Tracy. Yeah, I have one. I have a daughter, Julian. She's 7 years old, and I also work here at ABC 10. I'm a morning, evening, weekday, weekend meteorologist, and I did a little traffic this morning too. So I'm a little bit of everything.
So the topic today is pushing school times a good or bad idea? Is pushing back school times. So let's go ahead and show you that so everyone can see it. Again, the reason why we're doing it this week is because this was just signed this week. So to really know what we're talking about here, let's go ahead and talk about specifically what this means. This is Governor Newsom signed a new bill into law this week, pushing class back until 8:30 a.m. for high schools and 8 a.m. for middle schools. Now, California is the first state in the country to mandate delayed school start times across all the middle schools and the high schools. So this is not happening tomorrow.
Good.
We would all be scrambling. We'd have to leave the building right now in order to pull this off. But this is going to start in, I believe, either 2022, 2023, so a couple years from now. And the reason why is because there's so many different research articles that we've seen in the news lately about that kids are not getting enough sleep, they are suffering academically, and just in overall health. This may be partially due a partial cause of childhood obesity. If you're not getting enough sleep, it does things to your body. You lose metabolism. There's things that happen that they're connecting to kids not getting enough sleep. Well, they can't dictate what time they go to bed, but they can dictate what time they get to school. So they believe that this is an effort to help all students try and get a better start to the day and just to do better academically. So just overall, your kids have started later, and tell us what this is like, because a lot of people, they're seeing 8:30, 8 o'clock, and they got to be to work earlier than that.
Yeah, for 24 years, I had a 9 a.m. start time, so the 8:30 just worked for us. It was perfect. They got to, sleep in till like 7:45, and, I was able to make it to work, no problem.
Did you find that when they got enough rest and enough sleep, they were good overall health and did better in school because they were some of the kids that did get enough sleep?
I can't equate those two things, no. They're still grumpy in the morning, and I still have to shove them out of bed. But again, I like the 8:30. I've always had the 8:30 because I don't know if it's a Montessori thing or I don't know where that comes from, but it's always been 8:30. Yeah,
every school's a little bit different, so it works for you. Ashley, imagine this: your life in 2 to 3 years with this coming down the pipe.
Yeah. What do you think?
What do you think?
I support it. I know a lot of people don't support it because it is a conflict with their work schedules, but my kids are not morning people. They go to bed at a decent time, but they do not like waking up in the morning, especially for my my 5-year-old. It's the hardest with him. Every morning when I'm waking him up, it's a big tantrum, and I always have to calm him down from the tantrum. But I think
just bring him a donut.
Yeah, just bring him a donut. That does work sometimes, bribing him to get up with the donut. But I think it'd be less stressful for me in the morning if there was a later start time.
And you know what else I thought about with you and your 6 kids and a later start time? You're probably going to more than one school in the morning.
I am, and that's another thing that will help me is going to, and a lot of their schools have the same start time, so I'm getting them there like 15 minutes early to this school, 10 minutes early to that school, just
staggering the drop off.
Yeah, just to make it there on time at each school.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you, so if they're going to school later, do you have any concerns on the end of the day? Because the end of the day will also end later.
And I have no problem with that because, you know, I have more time to get things done that I need to do. And I don't have to rush like, oh, the kids are almost out of school. Let me hurry up and get back home to pick them up from school. But I don't have a problem with it. It's more so I just really support the later start time because I feel like my kids will get much more rest and they won't be grumpy in the morning and they won't have as much mood swings and tantrums. And I think it'll be beneficial for their health.
And you know, to try and understand where kids are coming from, if we don't get enough sleep,
Yeah.
as a human being, are we a little bit different some mornings, you know, when we haven't gotten that much sleep? So you can see that it would affect kids too. Tracy, really quick, your opinion, and then I want to talk about a superintendent, local superintendent, that's not really down with this, even though they have to implement it.
So my daughter, I think it's middle school, high school that are going to be implemented. So she's just first grade right now. I'm concerned about getting to work on time. So I feel like if you pushed it back, I feel like I would probably not get to work for the shift that I need to get to work for. And so then I'd need to drop her off earlier, but I don't want to drop her off too early. And then I'm concerned about, will anybody from school be there? Is she going to be outside the whole time? Are they going to open up the school so she can go inside? There's just a lot of other questions that I probably would need answered.
Because, you know, sometimes too with students, if they're not in the classroom doing something and they're free to just kind of wait for school to start, a lot of kids start acting out, and that's usually when the discipline problem starts. So,
or they might even leave school. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for high school kids, sometimes they can do that. So let's, Lena Howland, I believe that this is where this quote is coming from. She talked to the superintendent of the school district in Tracy, and this is what that gentleman had to say. Does it make any sense that a first grader can come to school at 8 o'clock, but a student who's in the 9th or 10th grade can't come until 8:30? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So trying to equate that, why is this such an arbitrary thing? Like, can't the school decide what's best for the students and the scheduling and the staff, and because they have to answer to all of these people once this comes in and all the difficulty, let alone the student too. So we've dug up some more information about this. And before we get to that, I just want to see if we have any early quotes from people.
Yeah, we do. We have a couple comments. So this one came in from Janet Walker. She said, quote, "They will adjust to the time the same as they do other things. The school time wasn't set according to some parents' work schedules to begin with." Really good point.
Wow. Well
the second
said.
one is from Andrea. She says, "I teach kindergarten and I see how much the demands are on them and me. By the end of kindergarten, they have to start reading. With test scores driving our instruction, they don't have time to be 5 or 6 year olds. Kindergarten was once a time to play, develop skills, arts and crafts, and learn social skills. Now we barely have any time for any of that."
I agree.
Oh,
my 5-year-old is in kindergarten, and I feel the pressure on him. They're already reading sentences, full sentences now.
And you know, that pressure on them then rolls to the pressure on us.
Right.
Exactly.
Because you got to make sure you go through all that homework with them as soon as they get home.
I just want to point out a couple things. We are on Facebook Live right now, and the reason why I'm looking at my phone is not to see what's going on Instagram with all my friends and their fabulous vacations. I'm checking your comments, okay? So let's get two right here. This one's from David Perrin. The parents should be making their kids go to bed early instead of letting them stay up all night.
Good point.
Good point. And Maria says, when you get a job, and you were talking about this earlier, Cheyenne, when you get a job, you have to do what you got to do. The school does not have to accommodate you. So is it, you know, mandating these times and making sure that however you get it done, this is when it starts, you figure it out. Isn't that good for life training?
Yes.
So let's talk about a couple pros that the experts have chimed in, and this is partially the reason why this is happening. We'll go through three of them. First of all, they feel, this is from vittana.org, could reduce health-related issues. A lack of sleep creates a delayed reaction time, irritability, check, depressed mood, sometimes, forgetfulness, clumsiness, and trouble learning new concepts. All those things are not good when you're in school, right? Also, here's another one. It could boost individual academic performance. Not only does this improve the focus of the child, but it gives them time to process the information around them in the classroom environment, right? If you have rest, you're on board. You can focus easier. That seems to make sense. And then the last one is it could reduce the amount of time kids are left alone. Starting school later in the morning would create a later release time in the afternoon, which could reduce the time some teens are left on their own. Okay. That's an interesting one that I haven't thought about, because there is kind of a gap there, isn't there? A lot of schools get out around 3:30, parents coming home with traffic, 5:30, 6, 6:30. So a lot of kids are left to their own devices by the time for those 3 hours, and they're not doing homework all the time.
And I feel like we're rushing for our kids. It's always a rush. We're rushing to take them to school. We're rushing to pick them up from school. We're always racing against time with our kids' school schedule.
Get them to sports. Get them to their play dates. Get them to everything.
Oh yeah, there's so many things, and then also you have to pay for that gap. A lot of parents will pay for after school things for science or different things like that, which it does help the kid. But at the same time, you're also making sure that someone's there with them until you can get them.
So what happens if they have sports? So what happens if you have sports practice? Now you're getting out of school later. So now you got less time to try to do your homework in between practice. Now, by the time you get home from sports practice, how much time do you have really for your homework before you go to bed?
Hardly any, and they have no interest in doing homework. When my daughter gets home from soccer practice, she is done. She's done.
And that's a whole other topic. Is homework good or bad, helping or hurting? That's a whole other one too. Amanda says, I love this. My son will have more time to sleep. And then Linda, following up, all I hear and see are excuses, excuses, excuses. Wow. Now, I'm not sure if that's for the student or for the parent, but this is going to be an adjustment because this is going to be happening. So let's talk a little bit about the cons, because we're seeing a lot of cons in the comments, and we'll come back to that as well. And for Amy's comment, how about after school? I don't know. It would make sense that, so certain things with education are mandated, 180 days of instruction, that's mandated, and I'm sure a certain amount of time is mandated. Yeah, so if you slide the times over, I'm sure it'll slide out later just to make sure they're in the classroom for the same amount of time, but I don't know that part of it. We should look that up. So here's some of the cons. It would impact the schedules of working families. That's probably the number one thing that we're seeing and hearing. Many junior high and high school schools have a start time at 8 a.m. In the United States, most working parents are required to work by 8 a.m. as well. This allows a small window of time to either drive a student to school or have them get on a bus. Advancing the time by 30 minutes to 8:30 would make it difficult for many parents to get to work on time. That's a big one. I just keep hearing scheduling, scheduling, scheduling. Here's another one. It would eliminate the ability to do some homework, what we were just talking about. They're eliminating time for students to do homework after school. The students who are involved in sports, extracurricular activities, school-sponsored activities. Remember, getting into college is more than grades now. You want a kid to get into school, they're like, what do you do after school? So you're limiting time after school. And then we should have one more. I'll just read it to you here. It could encourage some teens to stay up later. Right. I don't have to be at school till 8:30, so we're doing Fortnite all night. And
we also, Rob, got a lot of comments about after-school jobs. How would that impact if your kid had a school job and now they're getting out later from school? Is it going to hinder them on that end as well?
This when I was writing about this earlier, this is the classic, and we got so much response. That's why we're doing this. This is your classic dilemma. Show of hands. Who wants the best for their children?
Ooh, call on me.
Some study says that the best thing to do for your kids is to make sure they get enough sleep, and the only way to really do that for the vast majority of people's family makeups, how their family function is just to start a little bit later. So we're going to just do that to help the vast majority of students, whether it helps your family or not. They look at the broad data, so that's what they're doing. So then you are starting to deal with the reality of this, and we all have jobs to get to. And
we do.
And is your boss sympathetic? Some bosses maybe, some bosses aren't.
Oh, how about maybe
now we're stuck,
and you have a television show that you have to be there for a certain start time,
right?
So you really don't have the same flexibility. And what if you are doing that rolling start? So at my daughter's school, kindergarten starts at 8 a.m. And then everything else starts a little bit later. So there's this horrible drop-off line, right? So you're waiting to drop off. Sometimes you're stuck behind the wrong line, and then you're trying to get the kids in, and then the pickup is even worse. I hope no one's watching, but it's pretty bad, and it's just it's so much congestion, and all I think is, I guess you're just moving the congestion back 30 minutes, right?
Pretty much,
because it's not going to go anywhere. So maybe that's one way of looking.
But I do think that they should be offering resources if they are pushing the start back time to a later time. For 30 minutes, maybe keep the cafeteria open and let the kids have breakfast, or just maybe have like a yard duty there to supervise the kids that are outside. At least someone there.
Right.
Someone has to pay for that. So
my kids' school has that. They offer 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
But now remember this. if doing that, they're still getting up at the same time. So this mandated thing that's coming down in order to help the student, if the parents are still, I know I still have to be at work, so now the school's spending money and resources to watch the kids to make sure that they're safe, and still at the same time, they're still going to be, when the bell rings at 8:30, they're still going to be tired. So I don't know how many schools will go along with that, because they have an easy out. They could say, nope, all of this was to help the student get more sleep, so you're not allowed, we're not going to open the gates at the same time, we're going to delay it. I can see a lot of districts doing that, just just looking at the crystal ball.
What if you're a teacher? What if you now have to be there earlier? Because, I don't know, it's just, and maybe the problem is because someone made this decision and told us it was changing, and I think a lot of people felt like they didn't have a say in it, and maybe that's what the issue is. Like whenever someone tells you what to do, you know, we're all like, we immediately go defensive. Well, I don't want to do that. Maybe I think a lot of people felt like they did not have an opportunity to weigh in on it. And now it's mandatory. You can't even opt in or opt out. You're going to be doing it. You have to do it. I think that some of that has to do with the psyche of people being told what to do.
I can see that.
My free half hour in the morning that they let us drop the kids off in the morning is also hugely beneficial to my daughter, who is the biggest chatterbox in the world.
Oh, so she
gets 30 minutes of jibber jabber time, and then she goes to school, and it's helped so much.
So who's at the school early in the morning to watch the
whole staff?
The whole staff.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 teachers in there walking around,
and that's what I'm wondering.
That's
is it going
hard
to change the start time of teachers as well?
Oh yeah, because the teachers, teachers are powerful. I mean, they have a say in a lot of this, and if this is not working for them, you can expect to hear from them. Here's one from Christian on our Facebook Live comment feed here. Christian says, I'm in college now, but my high school changed to a later time, my senior year, and I had no time to get homework done as I did sports and work. And a lot of people are commenting back to that, saying thanks for that fresh opinion. We just went through this, and your comment is well received. Yeah, this is. I mean, let's face it. When you're a parent with kids and your life and everything they're doing after school, it's all about the schedule.
Right.
And any wrinkle to the schedule, if there's an early morning doctor appointment, or your work says we need you to come in a little bit early.
Oh yeah, how about PG&E has some power shutoffs, so we're gonna need you to be here a lot longer. Now all of a sudden you got a different start time.
Certainly, you realize the importance of this story for the state of California. You'll obviously be in here at midnight. You shouldn't have a problem with that. Sure, let me just call 15 people to move everything around. We'll get it done.
Totally.
Not that happened. But I'm just saying.
But I have a few more comments too. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention my daughter, yesterday she had PSAT. So it's kind of like just a prep for the actual SAT. She's in middle school, and she told me that she had it as soon as she got to school in the morning, and she was so exhausted. She don't think that, she don't think she performed as best as she could because she was really tired. And she got a decent amount of sleep, but it's just waking up and having your body adjust to being up early in the morning. It's tired, and then going to school, taking a test first thing when you go to school. It could be exhausting.
Maybe just one comment, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so we got so one is pretty good. This said, doesn't affect me. My kids are in high school and they drive. Besides, I work the graveyard shifts to take them and to pick them up for years. That was Johnny. And then my favorite is by Chris. I guess they'll be waiting outside then. He's just gonna drop them off and keep it moving.
All right, the comments are flying in. This is a very, very hot topic, because in a couple years, whether you agree with it or not, all of a sudden our lives will be in flux, and we're going to have to deal with it. Again, it's for the benefits for the student and our kids, because that's what we all want. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of shuffling and a lot of people just trying to figure it out and scramble, because when it's a couple years away, you don't really think about it. But you know what? We got to think about it now. Talk to your bosses, try and figure out a way to maybe alter times, because maybe it takes 2 years for the bosses to soften up to this idea. But anyway,
my boss is nice.
Yeah.
Adjust your schedules and try and work out things that will work best for your family.
Absolutely. True. Okay, this is Three Moms and a Dad. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be on again next week. We read the comments. We will get back in there and respond to you personally after the show.